Hello our dear viewers. Today we came to Turkestan. Welcome to the Bilim Kazyna Foundation's YouTube channel. As part of the In the Footsteps of Our Ancestors project, we traveled to Turkestan to film the mausoleum of our ancestor Khoja Ahmet Yasawi.
Khoja Ahmet Yasawi, our ancestor, lived in the 11th and 12th century. According to Kazyna al-Asfet's works, he was born in Sairam, which is 15 kilometers from Shymkent. He trained under his spiritual master Arystanbab and then pursued his education in Bukhara. With his father Ibrahim Shaikh's blessings, he settled in the city of Iasy. Iasy was one of the Turkestan City's earliest names. He spent the rest of his life there, working as a priest, teacher, propagator of Sufi Islam in Central Asia, and religious scholar. Following the death of our ancestor Khoja Ahmet, his students brought two small domes and installed them in the tomb. After 200 years in the 14th century, Amir Temir ordered the construction of a massive mausoleum as a monument to the saint and, at the same time, to draw the people of the Syr Darya River under his control. He drew the mausoleum drawing entirely on his own. The mausoleum comprises 2 floors and 35 rooms. The upper floor has 23 small rooms, while the lower floor has 12 rooms. There are 4 hujra rooms among them. The other rooms are the main hall or Kazakh, dining room, well, mosque, library, and cemetery rooms. There are also large and small aksaray rooms. Every room has 8 hallways. The main hall's clay dome is among the biggest in Central Asia. The height is 39 meters on the interior and 41 meters on the exterior.
May their soul find rest. Rest in peace. Allahu Akbar. Many of our ancestors are buried in this room, as seen by the numerous tombstones. Could you tell me about them?
Many big men's bones were discovered in 1996 while excavations were being conducted in the main hall of Khoja Ahmet Yasawi's mausoleum. In other words, it was discovered that a tomb existed at the same place in the 5th century. Human burials were practiced until the 14th century, when they were briefly halted. Iasy Khan spent his last days in Turkestan after establishing it as the capital of the Kazakh Khanate in the 16th and 17th centuries. Iasy Khan requested that he be buried outside rather than within the mausoleum. Then 21 Khans, 8 sultans, 22 beys and 63 batars were buried, including Iasy Khan, Tauke Khan, Jangir Khan, Ranibek Khan, Samike Khan, Ablay Khan, and Bolat Khan. Most of the high tombs that were outside were destroyed over time, and the earth from those graves was carried to the kultube. The majority of the tombstones were used for construction, and only these have been preserved. In 1999, as a tribute, our ancestors' bones were moved inside rather than left outside.
So they were brought here?
Yes. As you can see, on June 3rd, 1993, over 700 human remains, of which 236 unknown, were buried in the 4-meter-deep, 8-meter-long grave. The others are still under investigation. 21 Khans, 8 sultans, 22 beys and 63 batars were buried in this mausoleum.
Were these tombstones taken from the destroyed graves outside?
Yes, exactly. Only those with readable names have been displayed.
You mentioned that there are 700 people buried here, but only about 70 of the 700 tombstones are displayed to us, so there are just 70 tombstones remaining?
All told, around 700 people were buried, but only 236 of them have had their identities determined. 21 Khans, 8 sultans, 22 beys and 63 batars. The majority of the tombstones in this cemetery were destroyed. They had been demolishing these graves for nearly a century, claiming that they needed the earth for some reason. Most of the tombstones were used as cobblestones in construction, and the soil was carried away and thrown into the kultube. Tombstones with readable texts are named. You'll note that many other stones have the word unknown on their heads, since either the names couldn't be read or there wasn't anything to read.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala осы Құран кәрім аяттарына хас болсын қауыптарды. Әуелі ла иляха илlallah Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
These holy Quranic verses that I have recited and its rewards are dedicated to spirits of all Muslims who said Shahada, and to our Prophet Muhammad, may God's blessings and peace be upon him, and to our ancestor Khoja Ahmet Yasawi, who is laid to rest here, as well as to all humble Muslims who are buried here. May these departed souls find comfort in the earth. Please shower blessings on our family and children. Please hear our prayers and help us accomplish our goals.
This room is known as the large Aksaray room. Initially, it was a room where dervishes conducted thir, and later it served as a reception place for khans. This room was used by Tauke Khan to receive the envoys of Russian Tsar Peter I in 1694. During the reigns of Ablai Sultan and Abilmambet Khan in 1765, they received Qin, or Chinese, emissaries here. Similarly, this hall hosted receptions for renowned khans. This room is also known as the Palace of Arghans. The honorable members of the Arghan tribe were buried in this chamber as a tribute, which is why it is known as the Palace of the Arghans. The gravestone of our ancestors, the Kazakh B, which stands in front of you, is one example of that. Our grandfather Kazakh B made the following last request to his son Bek Bolat as he was about to pass away in Yerementau, Karaganda. After my death, take my bones to the mausoleum of Khoja Ahmet Yasawi and bury them there. Fulfilling his father's last wish, Bek Bolat traveled for about 1.5 months during that February. Modern technology was non-existent, getting here was challenging, and the winters were severe with lots of snow. As you can see, this is Khoja Ahmet Yasawi's tomb room. This is the place where our ancestors Khoja Ahmet Yasawi's soul rests forever. This is a completely finished room within the tomb. The dome is 21 meters high. The drum is 3 meters high and there is a dome on the second floor. It is known as a double dome. There are 52 ribbed flutings, which equals 52 weeks in a year. And on Amir Temir's special request, this tombstone known as serpentinite was brought specifically from India. It is composite tombstone made of strong rock and valuable stone. According to Amir Temir, he built 2 hallways to prevent pilgrims attending his waqf prayer from going into the cemetery, specifically the western and eastern corridors. In the past, pilgrims would come here to read the Quran, perform their pilgrimage, and then leave through the rear entrances.
Келесі бөлмені мешіт бөлмесі. Мешіт бөлмесі бұл жерде де көріп отырғаныңыздай қазандық бөлмесі секілді, яғни сталактиттермен өрнектелген. Яғни бұл жерде кесенеде қазандық, мешіт және де қабырхана бөлмелер осыны сталактиттермен өрнектелген. Bir жағынан әдемілік, әсемдік көрсетіп тұрған болса, екінші жағынан акустика, дауыс реттегіш, Құран оқылғанда ерекше дауысты шығарып отырады. Және де бұл күмбезді қарасаңыз 16 жарықтандырғыш панжара терезелермен қойылған. Кесененің мешіт және кітапхана бөлмелер кесененің батысынан салынған. Ондағы мақсат, яғни бір жағынан күннің түсу тиімділігін, яғни жарық сәулені тиімді пайдалану.
The next room is the mosque. As you can see, like the Kazandak room or main hall, it is ornamented with stalactites. Stalactites are used as decorations in the mausoleum's main hall, mosque and tomb rooms. It is both gorgeous and elegant. Nevertheless, it also modifies the voice and corrects the acoustics. It makes a person's voice more pleasant when they recite the Quran. Look at these 16 light windows in this dome. The mosque and library rooms are located to the west of the mausoleum. One aspect of its function is solar efficiency, or the effective use of light. You see, the mausoleum's west side enjoys a longer sunset than the others, which makes it an ideal location for education. This is a mihrab, 3.5 meters in height and 2.5 meters in width. On its exterior is inscribed the second surah of the Holy Quran, which is the Ayat-ul-Kursi found on the 41st page of the Bukhara surah. It is aimed at the Kaaba, located in Mecca. Additionally, the middle inscription reads, "Be careful with your middle prayers." It is therefore referring to the afternoon prayer. The dining room in this mosque were damaged in 1865 when Russian troops under Cherniaev and Verevkin fired cannons 12 times on the mausoleum's western walls. In 1885, 4 buttresses were placed outside the mosque room to provide support because there was a risk that the walls would collapse. One was taken during the 1954 restoration. There are now 3. Generally, this is the mosque room. It's known as a mausoleum. Indeed, above the door at the entrance to our ancestor Khoja Ahmet Yasawi's grave is a flag that was given to us by Amir Temir. An 8-meter hardwood handle supports a 5-kilogram, 97-centimeter long bronze finial at the head. The word Allah is written on its tip. The names of the 4 great caliphs, Hazrat Abu Bakr, Omar, Osman and Ali, are listed in the center. And the words "this flag was presented by Amir Temir to the Khan Aka of the visionary Khoja Ahmet Yasawi" are inscribed on the site known as the lower cone. In other words, this site serves as a large Khan Aka in addition to a tomb. In other words, it is a vast complex including a cemetery, a main hall, a mosque room and a library located on a dome. Because it combined all of this with the madrasa, it is known as Khan Aka. There is one recommendation for guests. Since this is a major cultural center where all our honored and distinguished Kazakhs were buried here, as you are aware, pilgrims arriving in skimpy attire or without proper clothing are a major concern. It's the library room. The library and mosque rooms are both situated on the mausoleum's west side. It is an architectural feature that symbolizes education from cradle to grave. However, there is also the matter of using sunlight. We now have the light bulbs, but in the past people used candles. It was highly advantageous for students and learners at that time because the western walls were exposed to the sunlight. Furthermore, as previously stated, there are 2 passageways leading to the mausoleum chamber for pilgrims, and an entrance door known as the Door of Knowledge leads from the west of the mausoleum to this area. In order to avoid upsetting the pilgrims behind, students coming to lessons used to enter through this door. And now, if you look at this picture, you'll see how the students studied back then. Our brother Juanish Seydbekov created this. This area was once home to several Holy Quran books that were coated in goat leather, which is why it was given the name Library Room. They are currently kept at Almaty's National Library Fund because we are unable to store them. These are the original mausoleum's clay tiles from the 12th century. There have been some discussions among experts over the lifespan of our ancestor Khoja Ahmet Yasawi. According to one scientist, he was born in the second half of the 11th century and died in the second half of the 12th century, while other claims that he was born in the 12th century and died in the 13th. During the excavation of the northwest walls of the mausoleum in 1954, a team of scientists led by Miankovsky found the clay tiles that belonged to the original construction of the mausoleum in the 12th century. That is to say, we deduced that the mausoleum was constructed during the second half of the 12th century, when our ancestor Khoja Ahmet Yasawi passed away, as these ornaments are typical of the Karakhanate period. During the construction, Amir Temir did not destroy the prior mausoleum's tiles, but instead covered them with new ones from the outside.
What do the terms mazar and ziyarat, which refer to pilgrimages and tombs, imply? It appears that some visitors to our ancestors are unaware of this. There is a dining area, a prayer hall, a mosque, sleeping quarters, and hajras inside. This is a large structure that has been designed to meet the educational needs of any youngster. Tell us how these practices were carried out throughout the lifetime of our ancestor Yasawi. And then again, when the mausoleum was completed, do we no longer know these values, or are we unable to understand them?
You asked an excellent question. The mausoleum of our ancestor Khoja Ahmet Yasawi is known in Kazakh as Kazyna. The word Kazyna is derived from the Persian word keshen, which means complex. It was formerly known as kuliya in Arabic, and it remains so now. Whatever the definition of the word is, it should be noted that the literal meaning is different. There is a distinct architectural style, and it's something different. This style is known as hierarchy style, served as the foundation for all the architecture in the region, which extended from the Middle East to the Ustyurt Plateau. It was later revived and expanded during Amir Temir's period. During his reign, this architectural style emerged. Following that, Suri's writing and style underwent significant development in both book production and writing. After that, our ancestor Khoja Ahmet Yasawi's old tomb was rebuilt in the new hierarchy style during the rule of Amir Temir. The kitchen, the tomb, the library, and the mosque are among the components that are all located in one location. This attribute also enhanced the pre-Islamic comprehension of the tomb among the Turks. That is, they did not reject each other, but rather complemented one another. As you are aware, the topic of statehood arises later on. The teachings of Khoja Ahmet Yasawi also served as the foundation for this. Zaman, Makian, Nihuan, and Radi Sultan are the four elements of it. We now have the most important attribute of Turkic Islamic civilization: the city and the steppes' integrity. Ibn Khaldun wrote about this in his work Al-Muqaddimah. The former city of Yathrib and surrounding Bedouin tribes, followed by the post-Islamic cities of Mecca, then Medina, Kufa, Basra, and Baghdad. The steppes were also gradually transforming and integrating with cities. The most crucial issue in Turkic Islamic civilization is the issue of statehood. We also had the same issue. There was Kazakh statehood following the Golden Horde. The cities along the Syr Darya River and Karatal served as the cornerstones of our statehood. This city is the most significant of them all. The city of Turkestan, Holy Turkestan. It served as both a political and pilgrimage center. This is how we perceive it from a political and religious standpoint. There are over 24 of our khans, around 50 beys, and all of our batirs buried. As previously stated, we are discussing the steppe and the city's integrity. Between the Altai and the Ustyurt Plateau, we had this integrity. There are 40 tribes, and they are all part of 3 Rus, or tribal alliances. 40 tribes isn't just a phrase. These 40 principal tribes belong to the 3 Ruses, which comprise the Kazakh people. Every tribe had a hierarchical communication system and its own Khoja, a ruler descended from Genghis Khan. Our statehood is comprised of the previously mentioned elements: Makian, Zaman, Nihuan, and Radi Sultan. The tomb of Khoja Ahmet Yasawi is important to us when it comes to tombs and pilgrimages. According to Sufi legend, this location serves as a center of Asitani Sadep, or the capital of happiness. Why were all the khans buried here? Because they wanted to be closer to God. This location serves as both the entrance to the Kaaba and the key to the actual truth. It was more than just a mausoleum. It was a political center and a cultural center. It is not without reason that Turkestan is known as the door between two worlds. This is the gateway to the truth. This concept was known to our Kazakhs, and that is why we termed it Astana, Mazar, and Kuliya. This is our sacred site.
It is an Islamic and cultural center.
It's true that this location reflects our perspective as Muslims. Subsequently, the Salafis and Wahhabis arrived and demanded revisions. Prior to that, the Soviet regime itself sought to indoctrinate an atheist, scientific worldview in our brains.
They wanted this location to be nothing more than a grave.
Yes, exactly. But the mausoleum has some other functions.
Scientific center.
Ғылыми орталығы бар, зияреті бар, ана Қазан тұр, Қазанның өзінің миссиясы бар. Одан кейін зікір мәселесі бар.
There is a scientific center, a shrine, and a cauldron, also known as Kazan in Kazakh. Kazan has its own mission, and there is an issue with dhikr. Halim is referred to as porridge at times. Halim is prepared here every day. Scientists say that bones should be cooked for 18 hours and the wheat for 12 hours. And this is an intense process. The food you had today should have been prepared and boiled 3 days before. This meant that a large system was functioning here. It is obvious that the center was established to serve people. This location was more than just a tomb. It also contained social, religious, and business aspects,
as well as a geopolitical aspect.
Yes, geopolitics. This is why the Khans were buried here. This served as the city or center for them. The continuity of the tribe's history should be demonstrated. The cities and the steppes' integrity shouldn't break apart. That, you see, is the main idea. Why do you think people came from Sarıarka with their honored beys and sultans and buried them here? By doing so, they demonstrated that this place was their center. All people belonging to the Turkic Islamic culture share the notion of Turkestan. If you look closely, you may see that the Bedouins share a similar idea. There are nations like Spain and Italy where these kind of views are still understood. Attila or other people might have had an impact on them.
Khoja Ahmet Yasawi babamыздың
As a result, the concept of Mazar, our ancestor Khoja Ahmet Yasawi's mausoleum, and Islam all serve as platforms that are leading to our transformation and revival. As a result, we should view our ancestors' resting place not only as a grave, but also as a platform for our historical consciousness and the continuity of statehood.
Thank you. Dear viewers, the following video of In the Footsteps of Our Ancestors series has come to the end. Please rate our content, comment, repost, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time. Be careful.